What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. We got an important announcement coming here from the government here very, very soon here, actually on November 2nd, that is going to affect our entire country, the stock market, and millions of Americans here going forward. And we're seeing this here because of the record high inflation that is still around a 40-year high inflation, still in the 8% range. And we have just recently seen the highest cost of living adjustment for seniors of 8.7% since 1981. So in 41 years, the highest Social Security raise in 41 years. I just recently did a video on that because of how high inflation is. And because of how high inflation is, the Fed, the Federal Reserve, is raising interest rates. And so this is really not a good scenario for anybody of that's regular Americans. So raising interest rates is causing pretty much most people more money. Okay. This concerns credit cards. If you have any credit card debt, this concerns people with mortgages that aren't fixed rate mortgages. This concerns anybody that's going to buy a new home anytime in the near future. This concerns anybody that is going to buy a car anytime in the near future, whether it's a new car or a used car. This concerns anybody that is going to get credit of any type and all these different type of things. So this is really costing a lot of people a lot of money. In fact, here's what I actually seen here just yesterday. I'll show you. So I seen this from Dave Ramsey here. He says, quote, the average credit card interest rate in America is now over 22%. So he has some slightly different data I had here that was from a few weeks ago. So he's saying that the average credit card interest rate is now over 22%. He says if you're angry about mortgage rates increasing to over 7%, remember they went from 3% or under 3% to over 7%, they doubled. If you're angry for mortgage rates increasing to over 7%, but you filled your gas tank and bought your morning coffee with a credit card, it might be time to rethink some of this stuff. Yeah, so the average credit card interest rate in America now over 22%. And remember that some credit cards go as high as 35 or 36%. 22% is the average, is what he's saying. We've seen some other data here that said the average was around 19%, but that was several weeks old article. And now we're going to be seeing here the Fed is going to be raising interest rates here again on November 2nd. You can see this article directly here from Reuters and from Yahoo. The Fed is going to have another interest rate hike meeting here, and they're expected to raise interest rates by another 75 basis points, which means 0.75% again. So this means almost another 1% hike raise again on interest rates, affecting mortgages, credit cards, car loans, pretty much everything going to happen here yet again on November 2nd. And said that they won't pause the inflation rate hikes until inflation halves or is cut in half on what it is now, which is still at 8%. 8% plus. Remember that inflation's pretty much running rampant everywhere. Inflation in the United Kingdom is at 10.1%, almost 25% higher than our 8.2%, our core CPI inflation rate. Remember, we have a couple different inflation rates here a couple different indices here. So inflation's just really, really bad. And the Fed is going to raise inflation or raise interest rates to combat inflation yet again here on November 2nd. Yeah, you can see here the U.S. Federal Reserve will go for most likely its fourth consecutive 75 basis point interest rate hike on November 2nd, according to economists polled by Reuters, who said the central bank should not pause until inflation falls to around half of its current inflation level. Remember that a 75 basis point interest rate hike, or 0.75%, three quarters of 1% hike, is the largest interest rate hike the US has ever seen in one shot. We've never had a full 1% hike in one shot, and this will be the fourth time in a row they've done it this year. This will be, let me see here, is this the fifth or sixth interest rate hike already this year? And they're expected to do another one in December. Like, a lot of people think this is getting out of control. They're raising interest rates too high, too fast, too quickly. And the Fed has also recently said here that they're going to hold them higher for longer. So this is really starting to put a lot of economic burden already on millions and millions of Americans. I mean, we've seen credit card interest rates alone go up dramatically. Home mortgage rates more than double. We've seen them go from 3% or a little bit under 3% now to over 7%. So in a lot of cases, if you were going like a year ago, if you were going to buy a home, you could get it for 3% or under. Now it's over 7%. In some cases, that will add $1,000 a month to somebody's mortgage payment for the exact same home, which is crazy. Now, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword because in a lot of cases we're seeing mortgage demand drop to a 25-year low. So we're not seeing the overbidding that we were seeing just a few months ago, where a home that was 300, 400,000, whatever the price may be in your area. Um, the day that homes were going for sale, there was 20 people bidding, over the asking price to the highest bidder. We're not seeing that anymore. So home prices are coming down. And a lot of economists and a lot of analysts and a lot of people that, are in the housing industry are saying that home prices could actually go down by 20% or more in the next year. Some people say this is good. Some people say this is bad. Some people say that home prices need a correction because they were way too high. They were overinflated in our overinflated economy. Some people say, oh, well, this is terrible for homeowners. But some people say that home prices are way too high. They're abnormally too high. Like some people are saying the cost of homeownership is just kind of out of reach for the average American. I mean, you can let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. Do you think this is a good thing? This housing market correction, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Yeah, it's tough. So, I have mixed emotions about it. I have mixed emotions. What we're seeing right now is that people who have these low interest rates, hopefully you have locked it in. Hopefully you've refinanced here any time within the last several years, because interest rates have been coming down for years and years and years and years. Now they've basically dramatically spiked up all within the last this year. So basically within the last 6 months, just instantly, just dramatically spiked up. So now home ownership has just gone through the roof, the cost of it. So yeah, if anything, the cost of the home is starting to come down. You're going to have to pay higher interest rates if you have to move, if you have to buy a new home for now. And then in the future, you'll be able to refinance and get a lower interest rate a couple years into the future when interest rates come down. The government, now remember that the Federal Reserve, and the government, the US government, are technically two separate entities. Okay. Even Biden and Trump have said that the Fed they're independent. Okay, um, former President Donald Trump got to appoint Jerome Powell the head of the Fed, um, but they have their own board of advisors. There's several different people on the board there. They actually don't really. They make the decisions on their own. They kind of do what they think is best for the economy, and then kind of all the credit card companies and everybody who can lends out money and stuff like that follows their direction. So for years and years and years we had extremely low interest rates, basically the lowest we've ever had in the history of the United States. Now they're creeping back up. I mean, we have mortgage rates at a little bit over 7%. But I mean, if you kind of remember anything, you know that like back in the 80s and even the 90s, yeah, a little bit, we had double digit mortgage rates over 10% um, back then. So we're still, I mean, we're not near the highest we've ever been for a while, but if this continues, it's going to get worse. However, we are at the highest credit card interest rates we have ever seen. We're the highest credit card interest rates we've ever seen. So try to pay those down. Try to do the best we can with that, because that is going to really eat away at your buying power, your spending power. So remember that for if you're paying 20% interest, that means that every year, whatever your balance is, you're paying about 20% of that just in interest. So if you have $5,000 in credit card debt, that means 20% of that you pay every year just in interest. So that means that you're paying about $1,000 per year just in interest. If you have $10,000 in credit card debt, that means you're paying $2,000 a year just in interest, and then you still owe the 10,000. Okay, so that means for round numbers, it's always easiest to do round numbers. If you have $10,000 in credit card debt, you're going to pay $2,000 every year in interest, and you still owe the 10,000. That's how they make enormous amounts of money. Okay, so that means that every 5 years, you're going to pay $10,000 in interest, 20%, and then you're 20% per year, and you're still going to owe all that money. Yeah, so after 5 years, you've paid the full $10,000 that you owed them just in interest, but you still owe the $10,000 in principal. So you've essentially paid everything, the full $10,000, but you still owe them $10,000. This is why credit card debt is so deadly. It's just like the worst type of debt you could ever have. It's literally, if you ever go to like a debt counselor or like a money counselor or somebody like that who's going to actually charge you to do this, to tell you this stuff, we're going to tell you credit card debt is the absolute worst, because basically every time you go to like buy groceries for $100, you're basically paying $150 or $200 for it. A lot of people will say, we have to do this to survive, but really you're it's like saying, okay, this $100 in groceries, I'm really paying $200 in groceries for it. So it's really kind of the worst way to spend your money. So if anything, try to pay off the lowest debt or the lowest balance credit cards. Just pay them off and cut them off, or just go to a cash system and just stop using them. Because if anything, if you just go to a cash system, whenever you get your money in for the month, just use your debit card or something like that. Because if anything, if you're just constantly racking up the debt, you're actually spending more on a monthly basis than you're spending. Because remember, you're spending interest every single month, so it's actually going to cost you more in the long run. Eventually, I know it's a tough cycle to get out of, but this kind of gives you the math and everything and how it works. Remember, these credit card companies make billions and billions and billions of dollars. Yeah, so it's a tough cycle here. But in the next video, we'll be announcing some money that we're going to be starting giving out this week. And I'll also show you some money that's going out here this week and this month as well. So make sure to click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so. After you click the subscribe button, click the bell icon as well so you don't miss out on new videos here on our YouTube channel. Remember that new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This way you don't miss out on all of our videos. And remember that it's completely free to do so. I don't charge anything to watch our videos, and I will keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. You can click here to watch my newest video about a $1,400 stimulus check for Social Security and low income. And here is my newest video with some delivery dates about checks that are going out to millions of Americans. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.